This is In the Middle with Josh and Sarah Siders. We get it. You're probably going through something that's asking you to dig deep, think differently, and hold on against the odds.
So these are our thoughts about starting new things, shutting some things down, and being with you, right there in the middle.
Welcome back to the In the Middle podcast, the podcast for those of us who haven't arrived yet. I'm Sarah.
I'm Josh, great to have you.
Yay, we're back.
We are back.
Yes, and we have a sponsor.
Oh, our sponsor this week, no joke, the grocery list retrieval service.
Oh,
For when you walk into the store and immediately forget why you're there.
Wow, that is such a great service.
That's a real thing.
I'm just going to need, it's a real thing.
Especially if you can't pull up like your text history with your spouse.
No, that's
or if it's like too far up, like the river of the text message, like why am I here?
The river of text.
That's a real thing.
And so, if it's not there, or like in the family text, right?
The family, which text thread is it in?
Can you get me some Cheez-Its?
What list in your reminders app is it in? Yeah, exactly. And then,
Or just, I just need like a memory retrieval service for when I walk out of one room and into the next, and then I have to go back, which people would say like, oh, it's pregnancy brain, or no, it's perimenopause brain. I'm like, it's just my brain,
it's just
okay?
Brain. Just brain.
Just brain. This how I done been born with.
Thank you, brain.
Oh, gosh. Yes. Well, thank you to the grocery. I was going to say memory retrieval. That sounds like Severance too.
That's a sister company. I think that's the umbrella organization.
The memory retrieval. Ooh, y'all. Yeah. That sounds like some 23andMe future bankruptcy right there. Well. Yes. All right. Well, today we are tackling a topic for which we all have fondness inherently within this topic, nostalgia. Yeah. And not just nostalgia, but what does nostalgia mean? Right. Yeah. And what's the indicator? And so I remember some of the ways that I started to notice that I was feeling this, but once you start to feel nostalgia, right, we'll get into this. There are some things that you can do, right, that you can kind of begin to look back, or you can start to look forward. Like, how do you respond to that?
Right.
I remember when people my age, so like I'm a Zennial, a lot of Zennials, Gen Xers started getting into nostalgia a few years ago. I don't know if you remember me griping about the Fuller House reboot.
Yes.
Do you remember me griping about it?
I
gripe about things. And in in a way, like in an observational way about something that I can't control.
Yeah.
So it's really like, why do I do that?
You have opinions.
And people need to know about them.
Apparently. That's why we're doing this podcast.
Extrovert, Enneagram 8, oldest sister. There you go.
It's like perpetual Festivus. I have a lot of problems with you people.
Perpetual Festivus, yes. Okay, that is my life. Like, I don't have a holiday for it. It's just every day.
Yeah.
And so if you're my friend, or you've listened to the podcast or whatever, you've heard me say like this, I have an opinion about this. But I had an opinion about Fuller House. When Fuller House came out, it was the Xers and Zennials starting to get nostalgic.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, nostalgia. This is not good.
Yeah.
Nostalgia is for old people. I think it was like, I was in my mid 30s. Maybe it was like late 30s. And I don't know if I wrote an essay about it, but I got, pretty far with it. So it's in my notes, or it's on my blog.
A strongly worded letter to someone.
To the universe.
Somewhere.
To pop culture.
Maybe just in your brain. But
yeah, I should have gone back and looked for it, but I forgot.
There you go.
I forgot because I walked out from one room into the next. Anyway, so I didn't watch it. I think I've seen some of it because the kids have had it on, or my sister has watched it. But I was very against it because it was really, the reboots hadn't started yet. Like, the reboots have just been like an uncontrolled way. Like, everybody
all the live action Disney stuff.
Yes. Everyone is rebooting things from, 60, 80 years ago, all the way through something that happened 20 or 30 years ago. And I was like, what is this phenomenon? Like, what is this for what it looks like for Gen X and millennials to become nostalgic? Right. And because that's where we are, but I think in general, we'll cover this more generally, but I was worried about it because as soon as you become nostalgic and you think, oh, the music was better, the movies were better, the people were better, the culture was better, the government was better, everything was better in the past. What do you do with that? What do you do with your future? What do you do with your present when everything was better in the past? And so I was really concerned about nostalgia taking over my generation and my people, because I was like, no, come back. Like, you know, and it's like, yes, I know that back then it was Parks and Rec and 30 Rock and stuff like that was on. And that was great. So it's like, what are we doing with Fuller House? And so, I mean, my childhood was good. It's not like my childhood wasn't good, and I don't want to be nostalgic about it. So I want to put that out there.
Yeah. Good.
But it
Same.
was just, it was like I was concerned.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But then here's the thing that happened to me. The nostalgia came for me.
And then.
It did. And I don't know what it is, but I have big feelings about Dave Matthews Band.
Yeah.
Or that Coldplay concert I went to, or maybe I went to two. I don't remember. Anyway, I mean, it's like, I know I've been 20 years, 25 years removed now, and I'm in my 40s, and I heard so many people do when I was younger. They would be like, I can't believe that was 20 years ago. We just said this on the last podcast.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's like there's this point in your life where you've lived a catalog, you've lived a portfolio, a library of experience, and you're moving along this dial of your lifespan, right?
Yeah.
However long you're going to live. And there is increasingly more behind you, right? Just because of how life works.
Right.
And time works. And that is a really an incredible thing to experience in real time. It is, it's like just, it's such a mind trip to have all this behind you. So yeah, those are some of the things that, like, for me recently, it was music. I feel like it made me nostalgic. What about you?
I have to tell myself that happened to me too. I was scrolling through Facebook and, you know, some unrelated page started showing up, and it was this, you know, Billboard charts from 30 years ago. And I was, I think, sophomore in high school. And I'm seeing Dave Matthews Band and Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains and Bush and all these bands, and I'm like, oh, that's the good music.
No!
And I shared it and said something like, we didn't know how good we had it at the time.
No.
It sounds so old.
It's
and so
nostalgia.
now the algorithm has got my number because I keep getting this same Facebook page that I don't like or follow or whatever, serving me up Billboard hits from 13 years ago, 33 years ago, 25 years. And I'm like, oh, I remember these songs. Like, oh, this was good. Good. Some of them I don't remember, you know. I'm like, who's that? But the ones from 30 years ago, I'm like, yep, I listened to all this stuff. I had tape cassettes. Almost into CDs, you know, at some point. I think that by that time I was actually 30 years ago, but
An accidental Columbia House subscription?
Yeah.
I mean, we all did. If you were 12, you could get one.
I think that's finally stopped hurting my credit score. I don't know. You paid
13-years ruining their
for
credit.
a penny? Really? I can get this stuff? Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, what a racket.
I did get at least 3 Amy Grant cassettes, people. I was a Christian kid in the 80s.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so yeah.
Nirvana.
So yeah, so that's that. I'm feeling that deeply too, and I think it's compounded by social media.
Yes.
I wonder what
yes
people 30, 25 years ago experienced around our age. Looking back, it was more like probably actual photo albums that they opened up or looked at, or newspaper clippings, or. Man, I sound ancient. But anyway.
But you would have to go find them.
You would have to go find them. Now they're served to you. Mm-hmm. They're served to you through Facebook. Every day I get a look back, you know, memory post.
Geez.
That sort of thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, oh, those are my cute kids when they were babies. Let's go look, you know.
Whoa, that's so
5,
true.
10, 15
that's
years.
So
there
true.
it is. And then I even get it on my phone. My Photos app has a widget, and it's like memories and on this day, however many years ago.
Oh my goodness.
And so it's like getting served up to me
Yes.
to be nostalgic. And of course I indulge because those are my cute kids, or that's my awesome playlist that I listened to 30 years ago. So yeah, it's a real thing,
interesting. No, I mean, that is actually really interesting when we think about why are reboots so popular, why is nostalgia maybe feeling like it's hitting different. Like, you're exactly right. You had to be like, let's go look at that album from grandma's farm. And you would have to like go find it underneath the bed,
right,
or in a closet somewhere, go bring it out. And you would have to think of it, and it would have to come to you. Right. And then you would have to go look. Well, now it's intrusive nostalgia, right?
Right.
It's being served up to you.
Intrusive nostalgia. I like that.
I think of it as intrusive because I said to you this morning on our walk, it wasn't until my 40s that I always thought of my life in the future.
Yeah.
I just thought of myself as it was like, oh, what I will do. Uh-huh. And there's a point, the nostalgia point, where you start to feel nostalgia, is where you are looking back to what you have done. It's not that you won't have more life, of course, but it's like your life is now not just what will be, what you're gonna do, who you're gonna become. It's what you have already done.
Yeah. And I think there is in midlife you hit a wall.
Yeah.
And you start to take stock of what, if you're on that first mountain, you take stock of in what you've built.
Yeah.
What you've achieved.
Yeah, true.
And when you're sliding maybe down into the valley and you feel a little bit lost and confused, it's easy to go, are my best days behind me?
Yeah. Ooh,
are my glory days over? Right? And so it's easy to slide into nostalgia where, and I think there is a phenomenon in our brains where we look back more fondly on events than they actually were at the time.
Oh.
Right?
For sure.
So
For sure.
The movies that you've seen, the music that you listened to, the shows that you watched, you're not necessarily thinking about all the events surrounding them.
Yeah, that's true.
Your cute little kids when they were babies, you're not thinking about the midnight feedings and the diaper changes and all the explosive dinner times. And I remember this one time. we were at a parade and down in Aggieville or something, and we went out for a meal afterwards. We're like, we don't come out for meals a lot. John, he's like 1.5 or something, maybe 2.
It was just him.
Yeah, it was just him, and about 15 minutes into the dinner, it's like he's throwing his crayons and throwing food around and being loud. And we're like, oh, I remember why.
Is why we don't.
But when you look at that picture, you don't remember the restaurants and the food fights and all that stuff.
No, you don't. You took a picture and they were smiling.
Yeah, totally.
You took 20
that made the highlight reel, and that's what's being served back up to you by social media.
Oh, you're right. It's
so anyway, there's that selective memory that's going on. There's this kind of taking stock, existential, things seemed a lot easier back then. I knew the formula. I showed up. I did the work. I got the outputs. So it's easy to be, I think, nostalgic.
I mean, okay, yes, there is a point where you might hit your stride, but when I think back to I was listening to Blink 182, or I was listening to, Dave, or some of these other bands, right? It's like I was so anxious back then.
Sure.
I was lost. I was like, there was, my girlfriends and what am I going to do with my life?
Yeah.
And am I ever going to figure this out? What's my standing with God?
Yeah.
I was so worried. It was like every day was an existential crisis. Every day was like, what am I going to do? And, most people are like, oh, you can't pay me to go be young and solve young people problems with young people's skills, right? If I'm young with old people's skills, it's like I'd be, a boss.
You're killing it.
Yeah. But so I think that's what's interesting about it is what did some of those things even represent? Going to a concert with my friends was an escape from this the life that I had in my brain, and how hard it was to be young, and how hard it is to be young, how hard it is to be, figuring things out. And, maybe you're lucky enough to meet somebody and build a life together.
Yeah.
But that's not always easy, right? Like it's so interesting how not only are we intrusively served up nostalgia, but nobody takes a picture of me like when I'm crying because I didn't get a job, or, you know, it's 2 a.m. and I'm bedraggled and, you know, somebody's up with a diaper or whatever. Like, there's no photos of that. Because that would be insane, right? Like, nobody wants to be like,
nobody wants your petty
smile.
picture on social
you would
media.
be like
Yeah.
a middle finger, like, you know, get out of here or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, what you get served back up to you is not even the whole story.
Yeah. Well, so I think that's interesting because it's like we've come to realize, and we've talked about before, how social media, Instagram specifically, is like other people's highlight reels, and how you can go down the, you know, the self-pity lane of like looking at everybody else's great vacations and well manicured lawns and well-behaved kids. It's their highlight reel. Well, not only that, now you're getting your own highlight reel served back up to you about how good it used to be.
Dude,
right?
what?
So it's really, I think, easy to go down that nostalgia trip when you're facing hard problems.
Yep.
You know, looking back, I made it through. Look how happy I was when I made it through, or escaped from it or whatever. Now it's like you're facing things. You're like, I don't know it. You never know that you're going to make it through. You always have.
You don't know.
But in the moment, it's like it's easier to go back and look. And so I think, that's the reality.
Dude.
Your own highlight reel is getting served back up.
This is like, so, I mean, you're talking about it's easier to go back. The, you know, metaphor in the Christian worldview is this idea of the Hebrew people leaving Egypt, where they don't have rights.
Right.
They don't have their own possessions. They are possessions.
Yeah.
And they get delivered from that, and they repeatedly, when things get a little bit hard, they want to go back. They get nostalgic.
Right.
I think what's hard about the future is it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Can we just keep it 100?
That's it.
The future doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That's existential right there. That's philosophical. You guys just think about that for a minute. So it's like everything that's already happened has shaped my soul. Maybe I've made some meaning from it. Maybe I've come to understand myself differently. It's not rose-colored glasses per se, but a lot of our memories are integrated enough that we go, okay, you know, I went through that and that was hard, and I'm more resilient as a result. And so it doesn't feel like the future, which at every time in the past that you went through something hard, you were like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Like you said, I don't know that I'm going to survive this.
Right.
And then you do.
Right.
And you build up some credibility with yourself, right? Like, oh, okay, I think I can do it. And you have less anxiety, and it's good. But at the end of the day, when things are challenging or hard or uncertain, you still have that feeling going into it, like that you've always had. Like, can I do this? I mean, I could do the other ones, but can I? And so you have this backlog of experiences that tell you about yourself and what you can do, which is amazing. But keeping your face like forward and present. Yeah. You know, I think it's like, is that the goal? Like, because I think this is the point of diverging paths.
Well,
right?
and I think that's okay. So the question then becomes like, if there's a trap, right, a nostalgia trap.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Right.
And let's assume there is.
Let's assume there is.
It feels good.
Like living in the past.
Yep.
Right?
Uncle Rico style.
There you go. How do you avoid it, or how do you get free from it? Right. Like, let's just assume there's some people like they're not quite there yet. Okay, what is there to be aware of? And then those of us that feel that pull towards nostalgia and are missing out on some things now, how do you get free from it? So what would you say? You want to take one or both of those?
Oh man, I mean, yeah. So like, I think that's just recognizing what nostalgia is, right? So there's the technology nostalgia that's being served up to you, but that's not necessarily yours, right? I think like every time you interact with something, you know, if you see the photos of your kids when they're a baby, or you hear music or whatever, you're like, oh man, they don't make it like they used to. It's like, yeah, you know, you can realize that you feel that. And I think that for me, that's something that's always important to recognize is like, what's the emotion behind this? Is nostalgia an emotion? I don't think so. I think it's like a fondness, an affection, and a grief. I think it's like, that isn't coming back.
Yeah.
Those people
Right.
in that way, those relationships, like when I lived with my friends, we were roommates in college or, after college, like that's over.
Yeah.
That life, that type of thing, that's not happening again. Well, I won't be able to go to a Dave Matthews concert with the level of carefreeness, like sneaking in sandstones, like side through the fence, right?
Okay.
Like, oh, you didn't know about that?
I don't think so.
Well, that was one of the Dave concerts. I paid for one of them. Anyway.
That doesn't give you lifetime access.
I'm just saying, I paid for one. I didn't sneak in both.
That's amazing.
You do have to sneak into a Dave concert if you
That's
can.
amazing. Well, okay.
I feel like my excuse for everything is it was the 90s, but it wasn't. It was the early odds. I think it was with a DU. I think I was dating a DU at the time. How many DUs did I date? Anyways, 2.
All right, moving on. Let's
it's so
focus.
good. Yeah, I can't. But yeah, like that feeling of I'm not going to be able to do those things that I did in the past in that way. I feel that grief, that pit of my stomach, like, man, I'm sad about that.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you lean into the feeling that things should be how they were in the past, like, we all miss the West Wing and imagining that was our government, right? It's like I feel that sometimes, like I'm mad that we've gotten far away from that. There's there's an anger, and those are grieving emotions. Right.
Good.
Like, is there a way for me to bargain? Like, well, could we have this? Could I do that? Maybe I just do a girls' weekend. That would feel like, and so you just notice a lot of those grieving emotions when you're dealing with nostalgia. Because again, I don't think it's its own emotion. I think it's a mixture of emotion that is pointed backward. Mm-hmm. And we all know the archetypes of the people that look back, right? And the famous one is Lot's wife looking back and becoming a pillar of salt. Yeah. But there's many others in other cultures and religions about the person that looks back. And it's like it's not that you shouldn't look back, because regret can be a teacher, and we want to learn from our lives, and we want to be able to grow. We want to have a portfolio life, that, as Jeff Goins calls it, like this thing that we're building. But you don't really learn from your past if you're staying in it. Yeah. You don't learn from your past if you're like angry and resisting the present because you haven't made peace with the fact that is past and not present. So if you don't realize like there's a grief element to it, like, oh, I missed that. And there's even like grief inherently on the other side of grief is gratitude. It's like, I'm so grateful. Yeah. I had those fun times, those good people. And I, did all those things. I'm so grateful I learned from them. I'm so grateful I had that. And so we want to be able to toggle, like recognize and honor the grief. Yeah. And toggle into the gratitude. And that allows us to be able to be like, and more good things can likely come. Yeah. I can likely face them. I can integrate them. And ultimately, I think, so those are some of the things powerful. I would say about nostalgia. Not that's an emotion. Good.
I think for me, either avoiding or getting free from that trap, there's power in the present. There's power in being fully present, or as much as you can in the moment that you're in. Appreciating and grieving the past, being future oriented as well. Because I think that's the other side too. Is you could be so future oriented. Yeah. You could be so goal oriented. You do miss out. Right. There's kind of this opposite ditch you can fall into. Yeah. And I think the solution to that is really reminding yourself, like, this is the moment that I have with the people that are here now. Yeah. And I don't want to mess that up, and I don't want to miss it. And so I was actually in the sauna at the gym a couple weeks ago, and the phrase came to me, probably not original to me, but it stuck in my heart. Like, these are the glory days. So I wrote it on my whiteboard downstairs in my office. Like, these are the glory days. The days with you, the days with the boys. They're in the house. They're at a great age. We're interacting and having fun, and be able to watch movies that we really love together. Yep.
Nostalgic
so that's
movies.
part of it. Making our way through like the Mission Impossible catalog, or the James Bond catalog, or whatever, and just enjoying that with them, and watching them watch it for the first time. That is a little bit nostalgic, but also a great way to incorporate the now, the present, into the moment, is to enjoy them enjoying what we've enjoyed in the past.
Yes. Yeah.
So some of it is like,
that's a really
we were watching
good tie
Office
together.
clips. Like I showed James a clip from The Office one time, and now he's asking, "Can I watch the show? Can I?" We're like, "Oh, I don't know, but here's some highlight clips. Oh, we're gonna skip past that one,
Yep.
and you're not gonna get all these jokes, but it's just really fun watching them enjoy some of the things we've enjoyed from the past." And so that's
so
what I would do,
true.
is
I
like,
love that. That's
don't
so
just
good.
get into a hole on your own and get all weepy about. I had it better when. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Maybe missing out on what's in front of you is keeping you from actually moving on and having your own kind of renaissance or resurgence of.
Ooh, that's so good.
Like these
That's so
these
good.
are great times we live in. Like
Yep.
it's hard times. It's hard
Yeah.
times for people.
Yeah, it is.
We've been through ups and downs recently, but getting back to where I have purpose, I have meaning for now, and I'm not going to get sucked into the quicksand of it was better back then.
Yes. Yeah.
These are so I'm just like, that's just repeating that to myself. These are the glory days. These are the days I'm going to look back on fondly. And I don't want to miss, especially
So
having the kids
crazy.
here now at a really great age and a really great time.
These are the days you're going to look back on fondly. And it's like you're in, like you said, I don't know if you said the word quagmire. I'm into that word right now.
Yeah, that's good. I said quicksand. But
Quicksand, quagmire.
I like quagmire.
Yeah, they're both Q words. There's something going on. But it's like, there's this, you can get stuck in these emotions.
Yeah.
And it's like being able to go, oh, I'm going to feel about now, like in 5 years, 10 years, how I feel about 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
Right.
I think that is a really important thing for staying in the present. And again, that's like someone could potentially say, like, what's the virtue of staying in the present, or convince me. I think most people kind of know, like, oh yeah, something I tell clients is like, be where your body is, because it's like it's a ton of energy for your brain to constantly be somewhere else, like in a different time or place than where your body is. There's a lot of peace and alignment that you can create when you are there. So being present is a virtue. It is very useful. But being like, oh yeah, I'm going to be glad that I did this. I'm going to be glad that we worked on building our businesses or our faith community or our family. We're going to be glad that even though it's hard right now, like you hear people, there was a song Kesha did a few years ago. I don't know if you remember this. It was like her and one other guy.
Macklemore. I remember
it. Macklemore?
Yeah.
And they were like, remember how hard it was?
Yeah.
Remember how we were all like, it was like just crazy and we didn't have anything. And, Jewel will talk about sleeping in her van and, all the guys in Silicon Valley that were like in somebody's basement.
Right.
Somebody's garage, right? Yeah. Apple started in a garage. Like, it was just like the struggle, weirdly, like you don't want to stay permanently in struggle, right? That's not cute.
Right.
But to have, to recognize the value of it and to recognize that like, you're going to look back and be like, oh, that was cool. That was gritty. That was worth it. I'm really proud of that. That's what got me here. At whatever point you're at, that's true.
That's right.
Good. So I think that like, so this is something we chatted about a little bit, but it's like this idea of, okay, how do you stay present as you go forward, right? Like as you're sliding through time, as you're moving forward, as this portfolio of life builds up behind you. Yeah. Right? Like, I think it's almost like being present is the only solution because you don't know how much time you have with yourself or with anyone.
That's right. Yeah.
And so if you're like, if you're always in the future, you can't count on that. Yeah. And you have to accept that your view of the past is not accurate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like it's not weighed down with the burden of the present moment.
That's right.
So
it's good.
It's
Well,
like being here. Yeah.
I'd be curious, if any of our watchers or listeners have, their thoughts on nostalgia.
Yep.
How they're managing
And what band did you try to sneak into when you were in high school or college?
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about how you didn't do that.
Yeah.
I have way too many rule followers in my life,
Well, sorry. You must need them. You must need us. Congrats. We keep you out of jail. Might just be Twitter jail, but we keep you out of jail. So anyway, I think we're running out of time, so we need to
we are. We got to
transition over. But yeah, thanks for indulging us with this conversation.
Yes.
So I'm curious, what are you reading, watching, or listening to?
I'm pretty sure I haven't said this, but I'm gonna take the risk. So I am loving Josh Johnson's comedy.
Oh yeah.
I mentioned this. I've mentioned this to a few people, but he's just like, I don't know. He's younger than us, but I love his style, and he's prolific. Like he can just riff on current events and educate people in the most relaxed way. He's just unbelievable. He's so freaking funny.
Yeah.
And so I really like him. I've been listening to him more lately, especially because I've been working on the renovation for James's room and have to listen to things more. You do. Than read or watch. Yeah. Yeah. What about you?
I am listening to the Holy Post. Caught up on old episodes, and it's been just really good. I probably mentioned them before. Big fans of the pod, and so they have really great cultural kind of observations and commentary from a faith perspective, a Christian faith perspective, and then they have, someone like an author or a pastor, somebody on to do a longer conversation, one-on-one with one of their hosts, and so I love the format of that, and I like their observations on the world. So. Yeah,
the faith and culture mix is solid.
It's really good.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So what's our other question? We switched it.
We did.
What's bringing you life?
What are you loving?
What are you loving right now? Yeah, I'll get it one of these times.
Yeah. Well, it's still new. We're it's in beta.
Yeah, I like it.
Yes.
What are you loving right now?
Well, are you asking me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, great. I think we might have mentioned this in previous, but I'm in it. I love the morning walk, taking James to school.
Yeah.
And then, if I don't have too much going on in the morning, then being able to do a longer walk with my 200K steps challenge in my Flourish community.
Yeah.
Trying to get my 7,000 steps a day, which actually has been harder than I thought. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. It's tough.
But my steps are way up, so that's good.
Good.
But yeah, that little morning time with James is like so sweet.
Yeah.
And having that, of course, I am having nostalgia about my last kid in elementary school.
Yeah.
It's grief. I get it. I already explained it to myself.
Last few weeks, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? What are you loving right now?
Okay. This is going to sound funny. Hamburgers.
Oh my gosh. Answer.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to dial in protein intake, like whole foods, not
That's
just.
Right. That's that midlife
protein,
job.
Yeah. Not just protein powder. And I'm like, I cook up 2 pre-made hamburger patties in the cast iron skillet, and
you have that seasoning on
put
there?
Some seasoning on it, some toppings that I like, a couple low carb, piece of bread, and it is so good. So I'm loving it right now.
He's loving it.
My personality is like when I find something, I lock in and do it again and again and again, and I'm like, hamburger a day.
Yes.
It's just really good.
That is so funny. I do that same thing. I lock in and then I do it for 2 weeks and then I
So this is
you're gonna be in there like a year from now. Ask us about the hamburgers. They're gonna be happening.
But it's not, in my defense, it's all natural beef.
Oh.
And it's just frozen pre-made patties that I just kind of slap on the cast iron, do my own season. So it's not like I'm stopping by McDonald's for a couple quarter pounders a day.
Like really fried out.
It's actually, it's actually really good for you.
Yes.
So,
yeah. No, you're eating pretty clean as you usually do. So that's awesome.
So maybe at some point I'll switch over to like buy ground beef that I form up and pre-freeze or pre-make or whatever. But
Oh,
right now
yeah.
it's the, mashup of like, I like it.
Yep.
It's good for me for, the most part. It's good
Yeah.
for me. And it's easy to make.
Yep.
So it's like that overlap.
No,
So
the easy
I'm
to
there.
make thing, especially when it comes to lunches, is like is the mystery of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's like if you can solve for that,
There you go.
you've solved a lot of things.
So
Anyway, good job.
yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. So
Okay, well, that's what we're loving right now.
Yeah.
And thank goodness for the grocery retrieval service
yes, thanks
to
to
help
them
you
for the
remember the
sponsorship.
hamburgers on the shopping list.
Yes, absolutely.
Bringing it full circle. So we'll see you next week with In the Middle. Until next time, drop some comments in about what you're nostalgic for and what you're looking forward to. We'll see you next week.
Until then, bye.
This is the In the Middle podcast with Josh and Sarah Siders. Visit inthemiddlecoaching.co for other resources, courses, and helpful tools.